On a quiet evening under the twin moons of the colony world Nera, a small home sat near the edge of a glowing crystal forest. The home belonged to Ryan, a skilled alien engineer known for repairing farming drones and building machines that helped the villagers survive harsh seasons. But tonight Ryan wasn't thinking about his machines. He was sitting outside on a smooth stone bench, his four long fingers wrapped tightly together as he watched his young daughter Mira struggle to walk along the dusty path in front of their house. Mira was only 8 cycles old, yet she had already faced more pain than many adults. Her legs were weak and bent from birth, making it difficult for her to walk straight. Each step looked like a heavy battle. She would stumble, catch herself, and try again. Every fall left marks on her pale skin, but her spirit refused to break. From the village nearby, sounds of laughter reached Ryan's ears. Children played a game of chase near the glowing forest edge. Mira stopped and looked toward them with longing eyes. She wanted to join them, but knew they would whisper and mock her again. "She cannot even walk right," they would say. Words had been repeated so often that Mira had started believing them. Ryan's heart tightened. Among their people, strength and agility were signs of honor. Every child was expected to climb crystal cliffs and run through the harsh desert winds. To walk with bent legs was seen as shameful. Many parents would hide a child like Mira away from the public eye, but Ryan loved his daughter too much to ever do that. He slowly stood and walked toward her. His steps were calm and careful, his tall frame casting a protective shadow. Mira saw him and tried to straighten her legs, wanting to look strong. But her knees wobbled and she stumbled again, falling onto the dusty ground. Ryan rushed forward, kneeling beside her. "Are you hurt?" he asked softly, his deep voice filled with worry. Mira shook her head and tried to smile, though her eyes glimmered with tears. "I'm fine, Father. I just can't walk like the others." Ryan helped her up, brushing the dust from her tunic. "You are strong in ways they do not see," he said gently. "But I know how much you wish to walk without pain." Mira lowered her head. "The children say I bring shame. Maybe they are right." Those words stabbed Ryan's heart like a blade. He clenched his hands, fighting the sadness inside him. "No," he said firmly. "You are my pride, Mira. The shame is on those who mock kindness and courage." That night, after putting Mira to bed, Ryan sat alone in his workshop. The room was cluttered with old drone parts, glowing tools, and scraps of metal plates stacked in corners. But Ryan's mind wasn't on his usual repairs. His thoughts were only on Mira. He remembered the looks of pity from other parents, the whispers in the market, and how Mira always tried to hide her limp when walking near strangers. Ryan knew his people valued strength too much to understand his daughter's heart. But he also knew that he couldn't just wish for change. He had to build it. Ryan stared at his workbench, where a small drawing Mira had made lay pinned to the wall. It showed her standing tall and smiling beside him. The sight struck something deep inside. "If they will not see your worth," Ryan whispered, "then I will make them see." He thought of humans, the strange but brilliant species who once traded technology with his ancestors. Though humans were weaker than many alien races, they had survived countless wars and harsh worlds using clever machines. Exosuits, walkers, prosthetic limbs, tools that allowed them to move and fight like titans despite their fragility. A spark of inspiration flared in Ryan's mind. "Yes," he murmured to himself, "if they say you cannot walk straight, I will build you legs that walk stronger than any warriors. If they say you are weak, you will show them strength they cannot imagine." With determination burning in his chest, Ryan began sketching designs on his work table. He imagined mechanical legs shaped to fit Mira perfectly, crafted not only to help her walk, but to give her unmatched power. The first lines on the glowing pad looked rough and uncertain, but with every stroke, his vision grew clearer. Hours passed. The twin moons shifted across the sky, and still Ryan worked. He drew stabilizers that would help Mira keep balance, flexible joints to let her run and jump, and powerful motors hidden beneath smooth armor plates. At the bottom of his design, he wrote words only for himself. Not just to walk, but to stand proud. Before dawn, Ryan stepped out of the workshop, stretching his aching arms. The cool morning breeze carried the faint scent of crystal flowers. He looked toward Mira's window and saw her small figure still sleeping peacefully. Ryan whispered to the rising suns, "I swear my daughter will never feel shame again. I will build her more than legs. I will build her wings to fly above every insult, every cruel laugh. And when they see her walk, they will not whisper. They will stand in awe." From that moment, a new chapter began for both father and daughter. The world still believed Mira would always stumble in shame. But deep inside his heart, Ryan knew the truth. Soon the same legs that could barely stand would carry her farther and stronger than anyone had ever seen. And no one, not even the harshest elder or the proudest warrior, would dare call his daughter weak again. The next morning, the twin suns of Nera rose high, painting the sky in warm orange and silver hues. The small colony village slowly came alive. Farmers led their crawler beasts to the fields. Traders opened their stalls near the crystal forest. And children ran past glowing rocks, laughing. Inside his workshop, Rian sat with dark circles under his eyes. He hadn't slept since last night. Instead, he had been staring at the sketches for Mira's new legs, his mind racing with ideas. The first designs looked promising, but Ryan knew something was missing. His people built machines for farming and mining, but nothing like what his daughter needed. As he sat thinking, his mind drifted to stories told by ancient traders about humans, small, fragile creatures compared to many alien races, yet brilliant in survival. They had built devices that made them strong when nature made them weak. Mechanical arms that could lift tons, legs that could leap over walls, and suits that let them run faster than storm winds. Rian stood and walked to a dusty shelf at the far end of the workshop. Buried under broken parts and old blueprints was a small silver case. It was something his grandfather had kept safe from the days when humans visited their world for trade. Ryan opened it carefully. Inside were glowing data chips with markings in both alien script and the strange block letters of human language. He placed one into his old translator screen. The device flickered to life, projecting holograms of mechanical limbs, suits, and tools once used by human engineers. Rian's eyes widened as he saw a recording of a human soldier with a missing leg running across rocky ground using a mechanical replacement. The limb didn't just let the soldier walk, it let him sprint, faster than a normal human could. Another hologram showed a child playing happily with a robotic exoskeleton strapped to their legs. Ryan whispered to himself, "Humans, you built strength when nature gave you none. If you can do this, so can I." He studied every diagram, every moving part. Human machines were different from alien designs. They were compact, flexible, and made to adapt to the user's body. Unlike his people's rigid and heavy mining bots, human tech worked with the person, not against them. Ryan spent hours watching and learning. He made notes on lightweight alloy blends, energy-efficient motors, and joint designs that allowed natural movement. He realized he would need to combine his own people's crystal-powered energy systems with human-style mechanics to make something perfect for Mira. That evening, Ryan left the workshop and headed to the trading post in the center of the village. The market bustled with merchants selling metal scraps. old drones, and parts scavenged from abandoned mining rigs. Ryan kept his plan quiet, knowing that if the villagers learned what he was doing, they would laugh or even try to stop him. At one stall, Ryan found small servo motors that once powered a farming drone's arms. At another, he traded old repair tools for thin metal plates. He searched for lightweight cables, flexible stabilizers, and a power cell small enough for a child to wear. As he carried the heavy sack of parts back home, he overheard two villagers talking. "Have you seen Ryan? They say he's gone mad, building strange machines for that daughter of his," one said. The other replied, "He should stop wasting his time. A child like that, better to hide her than give false hope." Ryan's grip tightened on the sack. He wanted to shout at them, but stayed silent. He knew words would change nothing. Only action would. Back in his workshop, Mira peeked in as her father laid the parts on the workbench. "What are you making?" she asked, her voice soft but curious. Ryan smiled gently. "Something for you," he said. "But it's a surprise. You must be patient." Mira nodded, trusting him completely, and returned to her room. That night, Ryan began his secret project. Using human holograms as a guide, he shaped the first frame of the mechanical legs. The base was a slim but strong alloy, light enough for Mira to carry but sturdy enough to handle great force. He added crystal-powered cores to provide energy without overheating. He worked through the night, welding and connecting wires, adjusting tiny joints, and testing the servo motors. By dawn, the first prototype stood on his workbench, a pair of metal legs with smooth, curved plating and jointed ankles. They were not perfect yet, but they were real. Ryan wiped sweat from his brow and whispered, "This is just the beginning." The next day, he tested the legs himself. He strapped them onto his own lower limbs, adjusting the size with magnetic locks. When he took a step, the servo motors hummed softly, moving with surprising ease. But when he tried to run, the stabilizers failed, making him stumble and crash into a crate. Ryan groaned but smiled. "Better for me to fall than Mira," he muttered. He returned to the workbench, making notes on what to fix. Days turned into weeks. Ryan's workshop became filled with discarded parts and redesigned prototypes. Some were too heavy, others lacked balance. Once, an early version's power cell overheated and exploded in a flash of sparks, narrowly missing Ryan's hand. Still, he never gave up. One evening, after many failed attempts, Ryan stood back from his latest version. This design was smaller, lighter, and shaped perfectly for Mira's legs. The plating gleamed softly under the workshop lights. It had shock absorbers for running, stabilizers for balance, and hidden boosters that could deliver incredible kicking force when needed. Holding the finished prototype, Ryan felt a rush of pride and fear. He imagined Mira walking freely for the first time, running without stumbling, standing tall while everyone watched in silence. But doubts also crept into his mind. What if it failed and crushed her hopes again? That night, as Mira slept peacefully, Ryan sat by her bedside. He looked at her bent legs and small hands curled around a cloth doll. "Little star," he whispered, "tomorrow you will take your first step into a new life. And I promise, you will never fall again." The next morning, Ryan woke early. He polished the mechanical legs until they shone. As Mira walked into the workshop, rubbing her eyes, she gasped at what she saw. Ryan knelt down and smiled. "Mira, today, you will walk like no one ever has." And with trembling hands and a heart full of hope, he began fitting the new legs onto his daughter, unaware that this moment would change not only her life, but the future of the entire colony. Morning sunlight filtered through the workshop windows, casting warm light on the cluttered tables and shelves stacked with tools and metal parts. Ryan stood beside Mira, carefully adjusting the straps of the mechanical legs. The moment he had, worked for many sleepless nights, was finally here. Ready? He asked softly. Mira nodded nervously. Her small hands gripped the edge of the table for support as her father tightened the final magnetic lock. The mechanical legs hummed softly, their crystal cores glowing faintly. Stand slowly, Ryan instructed. With a deep breath, Mira pushed herself up. The servo motors responded smoothly, lifting her to full height. Her eyes widened. This was the first time she had stood tall without feeling pain shoot through her bent legs. Ryan steadied her. Now try one step. Mira hesitated, then moved, her right foot forward. The mechanical limb moved with perfect balance, but the moment she shifted weight to her left leg, the stabilizer faltered. Mira stumbled forward, and Ryan quickly caught her before she hit the ground. I failed again, Mira whispered, her voice trembling. No, Ryan said firmly. This is only the beginning. Every great machine needs testing. We'll make it better. For days, Ryan continued to refine the design. He adjusted sensors, replaced faulty servo motors, and rebuilt stabilizers to match Mira's natural movement. Sometimes the legs locked up completely. Other times they moved too fast, making Mira lose control. Each failure made her doubt more, but Ryan's determination never wavered. Outside the workshop, whispers about Ryan's strange project spread through the village. One afternoon, as Ryan walked to the market for supplies, two elders approached. Him. Ryan, one said with a stern look. We hear you are wasting valuable materials on a hopeless cause. A child like yours cannot be fixed. You should accept it. Ryan met their gaze calmly. I will never accept that my daughter must live in shame, he replied. The other elder shook his head. Machines cannot change who she is. People will only mock you both. They already do, Ryan said, his voice steady. But when they see her walk strong, they will understand. The elders exchanged glances but said nothing more. Ryan left them standing there, clutching the small bag of wires and tools he had bought, his resolve stronger than ever. Back at home, Mira sat quietly, watching other children run past their house. She no longer tried to join them. Instead, she spent her time in the workshop, helping her father by passing tools or holding small parts. One evening, as Ryan worked late, Mira asked softly, Father, why do you try so hard? Everyone says, I can never walk like them. Ryan stopped working and turned to her. Because they are wrong. I see what they cannot see. You are not broken. You only need a way to show the strength you already have. Mira looked at the half-finished prototype on the table. Do you really think I can be strong like them? Stronger, Ryan said with a small smile. One day, they will see you run faster than anyone in this colony. That night, Ryan had a breakthrough. While reviewing human designs, he discovered a special balancing algorithm that humans once used in combat suits to keep soldiers steady on rough terrain. Adapting it to the crystal-powered system, Ryan believed it could finally stop the legs from tipping over. The next morning, he installed the new system and tested it himself. This time, when he walked, the legs stayed perfectly balanced. He even tried running a few steps without falling. Excitement rushed through him. This was the improvement Mira needed. Later that day, when Mira tried on the updated prototype, she stood taller than ever before. Take a step, Ryan encouraged. Mira lifted her foot and placed it down carefully. Then another. She managed 3 steps before losing balance slightly, but she did not fall. Instead, the stabilizers corrected themselves, helping her stand firm. I did it, Mira cried, her face glowing with happiness. Ryan hugged her tightly. You did more than that. You walked straight, my little star. Despite the progress, Ryan decided to keep everything secret from the villagers. He wanted Mira's success to be a surprise, something so undeniable that no one could mock her again. Weeks passed as father and daughter worked together, perfecting the legs. Mira learned how to balance, how to turn, and even how to take small jumps. Every evening, Ryan made adjustments based on her feedback. The sound of humming servo motors and clicking tools became the music of their home. But not everyone stayed silent. One day, while Ryan was gathering more parts, a group of villagers gathered near his workshop. "What is he doing in there?" a merchant asked. "Trying to make his crippled daughter normal," another said. "Even if he builds something, she'll never be like us," added a young hunter. Mira overheard these words through the open window. She felt a sharp pain in her chest and ran to her room, tears filling her eyes. When Ryan returned and found her crying, he knelt beside her bed. "Why are you upset?" "They're right," Mira whispered. "I'll never be like them." Ryan gently lifted her chin so she looked at him. "You don't need to be like them. You will be better. One day they won't call you weak. They will look up to you. But you must believe in yourself, as I believe in you." Mira wiped her tears and nodded slowly. That night, Ryan pushed himself harder than ever. He upgraded the power cells for longer use, added reinforced plating for protection, and installed hidden boosters for incredible strength. This version was no longer just for walking. It was designed to make Mira stronger than anyone in the colony. When he finally tested it, the prototype delivered a kick so powerful it bent a metal crate in half. Ryan stared at the dented metal, amazed. This will change everything. But he also knew it was not ready yet. He needed to ensure Mira could control such power safely. So he worked in secret, perfecting every detail. By the time the second moon rose high one quiet night, Ryan stood over the final version of the mechanical legs. Sleek, balanced, and powerful, it was his masterpiece. He whispered to himself, "Soon, my daughter. Soon they will see what true strength looks like." Unaware of the storm of change approaching, the villagers continued to mock from a distance, never knowing that behind the closed doors of Ryan's workshop, history was quietly being rewritten. The morning air was crisp and filled with the scent of dew-covered crystal flowers outside Ryan's workshop. Inside, tools were neatly lined up on the benches, blueprints covered the walls, and the soft hum of energy crystals echoed in the quiet. After weeks of secret work, Ryan finally stood before the completed mechanical legs, a masterpiece built from his endless determination and love for his daughter. Mira stood nearby, her big, curious eyes fixed on the shining creation. For days, she had trained with older prototypes, taking small steps and learning to balance. But this was different. The new legs were sleek, fitted perfectly for her small frame, and powerful enough to do more than just walk. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Today you will walk straight," he said with a gentle smile. "And not only walk, you will stand strong." Mira's heart pounded with hope and fear. She wanted to believe her father, but memories of falling and failing many times before made her uncertain. Ryan knelt down, carefully locking the new mechanical limbs around Mira's legs. The magnetic straps clicked into place, hugging her gently. The power cores hummed softly, glowing a calming blue. "All right, Mira," Ryan said, stepping back. "Stand slowly. Let the legs adjust to your body." Taking a deep breath, Mira placed her hands on the workbench and pushed herself up. The mechanical limbs moved in perfect harmony, supporting her weight without shaking. She stood taller than ever before. For a moment, there was no pain, no stumbling, just balance. Ryan's chest swelled with pride. "That's it. Now, take a step forward." Mira lifted her right foot. The mechanical servos responded smoothly. She placed it down and felt solid ground beneath her. A smile spread across her face as she took another step, then another. She walked across the workshop, without falling. Father, Mira cried, turning toward him with shining eyes. I did it! I'm walking! Ryan's eyes watered. He had imagined this moment countless times, but seeing it for real filled his heart like never before. You are amazing, my little star, he whispered. But Ryan wasn't finished testing. He wanted to see how well the new legs worked outside the workshop. Come, he said softly. Let's try walking in the courtyard. Mira nodded eagerly, with her father's hand guiding her. She stepped out into the open sunlight. For the first time, villagers saw Mira standing tall without stumbling. Some paused in shock, others whispered to one another, unsure of what they were witnessing. Encouraged by the wide space, Mira tried walking faster. The stabilizers kept her balanced, and soon she was running, actually running for the first time in her life. Children who once mocked her now watched in silence, their games forgotten. Ryan's heart soared as he saw his daughter laugh freely, moving with grace and strength. This was everything he had dreamed of. Then it happened. As Mira made a sharp turn near the courtyard fence, one of the stabilizers overloaded. The right leg stiffened suddenly, throwing Mira off balance. She tumbled forward, hitting the ground hard. A loud gasp rose from the villagers. Mira! Ryan shouted, rushing to her side. He lifted her gently, checking for injuries. Mira's hands were scraped, her eyes filled with tears. Not from pain, but from crushing disappointment. I failed again, she whispered. No, Ryan said, firmly, though his own heart ached. He glanced at the mechanical legs and saw faint smoke rising from the right stabilizer. This isn't your failure, it's mine. I need to make them better. Mira shook her head. Everyone saw me fall. They'll say I can't walk again. Ryan looked into her tearful eyes. Let them say what they want. They don't know what you just did. Mira, you ran today. You ran. Mira blinked, remembering how it felt. Wind rushing past her face, the ground steady beneath her feet. Despite the fall, a small spark of hope flickered inside her. Ryan carried her back into the workshop and removed the damaged legs. He carefully examined the faulty stabilizer. The problem wasn't just weight, it was power distribution. The boosters were too strong for sudden turns, causing the system to lock up. That night, as Mira slept, Ryan stayed awake once again. He dismantled the legs and rebuilt the stabilizers from scratch, adding a flexible joint and a new crystal regulator to handle sharp movements. He also upgraded the balance sensors with technology inspired by human combat suits, allowing instant corrections when Mira changed direction. While working, Ryan heard faint whispers outside his window. Curious villagers had gathered, talking about what they saw earlier. She was walking, even running, one said. But then she fell, another replied. Still, a third voice said softly, no child like her has ever walked like that. Perhaps Ryan is truly building something new. Ryan paused for a moment, realizing that the colony's view was slowly shifting. For the first time, people weren't only mocking, they were wondering. By dawn, the upgraded legs stood on the workbench, stronger and smarter than before. Exhausted but determined, Ryan whispered to himself, this time, you won't fall. When Mira woke up, she found her father asleep on the bench, tools scattered around him. She gently shook his shoulder. Father, are they ready? Ryan opened his tired eyes and smiled. Yes, my little star. Let's try again. As he helped her into the improved prototype, Mira's fear returned for a moment. But she remembered her father's words. You ran today. That memory gave her courage. She stood up and the legs felt different, lighter, more stable. With careful steps, she walked across the workshop floor without trouble. Then she turned sharply. The stabilizers adjusted perfectly, keeping her steady. Ryan's face lit up. Perfect! You did it! Mira grinned, a joyful sound escaping her lips. I didn't fall! Ryan hugged her tightly. Not only that, soon you will do more than walk or run. These legs can do something no one expects. Mira tilted her head curiously. What do you mean? Ryan pointed to a dented metal crate in the corner. When you're ready, those legs will be strong enough to kick through that like paper. Mira's eyes widened. Really? Really? Ryan said with a proud smile. One day soon, everyone will see not just that you can walk, but that you are stronger than anyone in this colony. Outside, the villagers went about their day, unaware that inside the humble workshop, a father's love and an unbroken child's spirit had just taken another step toward a future that would change everything. Days turned into weeks, and every morning began with the same sound, the gentle hum of crystal-powered motors and the soft footsteps of Mira walking in the workshop. What started as careful steps soon became graceful runs. She could now turn, jump small gaps, and even balance on one foot without falling. Her father, Ryan, watched her with pride shining in his tired eyes. Each night, he continued refining the mechanical legs, making them lighter and stronger. He knew Mira had mastered walking and running, but the hidden boosters he had installed, the ones that could deliver incredible kicking force, remained untested. One evening, after finishing another round of adjustments, Ryan stood before Mira with a thoughtful look. Mira, he said softly, you've learned to walk, to run, and even jump. But these legs can do more than that. It's time to see their true strength. Mira tilted her head curiously. True strength? Ryan nodded and pointed toward the far corner of the workshop where an old, rusting metal tank sat. It had been used years ago for storing heavy mining fuel, but was now empty and forgotten. That tank, Ryan said, is made of hardened alloy. Even strong adults struggle to dent it. But with these legs, you might do what no one else can. Mira stared at the tank, doubt creeping into her mind. Kick it? But I've never tried something like that. What if I break the legs? Ryan smiled gently. Machines can be fixed, but I believe in you. Just focus and trust the legs I built for you. After taking a deep breath, Mira stepped toward the tank. The workshop suddenly felt quiet, the only sound being the soft hum of her mechanical limbs. She placed her small hands on her sides, steadying herself. Remember, Ryan coached from a distance, use your balance sensors. Let the legs do the heavy work. You just guide them. Mira nodded, planted her foot firmly, and with all her courage, swung her right leg at the tank. Boom! The sound echoed through the workshop as the impact shook the floor. The once solid tank now had a deep, perfectly shaped dent where Mira's kick had landed. She stumbled back a step, shocked at her own power. Father, did I? She stammered. Ryan rushed to her side, his face glowing with pride. You did it! Look! He pointed to the dent, eyes wide with amazement. That tank was built to withstand mining explosions, and you just bent it like thin metal. Mira's disbelief slowly turned into a bright, joyful smile. I really kicked it, like a tank. Ryan knelt before her, resting his hands on her shoulders. My little star, you are stronger than any of them. They called you weak, but now you are something no one has ever seen. Later that evening, while Ryan worked on fine-tuning the boosters, Mira couldn't stop thinking about the feeling of that powerful kick. She had grown up being told she was fragile and a burden. Now, for the first time, she felt unshakable strength flowing through her, strength that came from both her father's love and her own courage. The next morning, Ryan decided it was time to test the legs outside, far beyond the workshop walls. Together, they walked to an abandoned quarry on the edge of the colony. The ground there was covered in broken stone, and large metal mining crates were scattered about. Today, Ryan said, you'll test movement and power in real terrain. This is where warriors train to prove themselves, and today you will. Prove yourself. Mira's steps echoed against the stone walls as she climbed over rocks and balanced on narrow ledges with ease. She jumped gaps she once couldn't even cross on her own legs. Ryan watched every move carefully, making notes for minor adjustments. Then came the power test. Ryan set up one of the old mining crates as a target. This one is thicker than the tank, he warned. But remember, you are stronger than you think. Mira took a deep breath, focused on her stance, and delivered another kick. Crash! The crate flipped over and slid several meters before hitting a rock wall. Dust filled the air as Ryan clapped his hands together. Perfect! Mira, do you know what this means? She looked at him, her face glowing with excitement. That I can kick like a tank? Ryan chuckled. Yes, but it also means no one will ever call you weak again. These legs aren't just for walking straight. They make you powerful. Unknown to them, a few villagers had followed from a distance. Curious after hearing rumors of Ryan's project, they gasped when they saw the tiny girl flipping heavy mining crates with ease. That's impossible, one whispered. She was the one who couldn't even walk, another said in shock. Word spread quickly through the colony. By evening, whispers filled the market square. Did you see Ryan's daughter? She kicked a mining crate like it was paper. Others dismissed it as an exaggeration, but those who had witnessed it knew it was true. That night, Mira and Ryan returned home, both exhausted yet full of hope. As Mira sat by the window watching stars shimmer above, she spoke softly to her. Father, why do you think everyone laughed at me before? Ryan sat beside her looking up at the sky. Because they didn't understand you. People often fear or mock what they don't understand, but strength isn't about what they see. It's about what's inside. Mira leaned against him. Do you think they'll stop laughing now? Ryan smiled, brushing her hair gently. Not only will they stop, they will look at you and see something they never imagined possible. And when that day comes, you'll know that you and I changed everything together. From that day on, training became part of Mira's daily Ainba life. She learned to control her new strength, kicking without losing balance, running without overheating the boosters, and even using her mechanical legs to leap across wide gaps. Each time they returned to the quarry, more villagers secretly watched. Some came closer, offering cautious words of encouragement, while others simply stared in awe. The girl they once whispered about was transforming before their eyes into something remarkable. Ryan, however, knew the journey wasn't over. There were still many challenges ahead. Among the colony's warriors was a young fighter known for his cruelty, one who had mocked Mira the most. When he heard of her strength, he publicly declared, "If she's truly strong, let her face me in the ceremonial test of honor." The challenge spread through the colony like wildfire. Many doubted Mira could handle it, while others whispered that this might finally silence the mockery forever. When Ryan told Mira about the challenge, her face turned pale with fear. Fight him? But father, I've never faced anyone in a real challenge. Ryan knelt before her, placing his hands gently on her shoulders. You've faced harder battles than anyone here. Every day you fought to stand when they said you couldn't. This is no different. And remember, these legs don't just walk, they can kick like a tank. Mira looked into her father's determined eyes, feeling courage rise within her. She nodded slowly. Then I will face him. I will show them all. And so, preparations began for a test that would not only decide Mira's honor, but change the way the entire colony saw strength and courage forever. The day of the ceremonial challenge arrived with a pale golden dawn spreading across the colony. The open arena, usually quiet and covered in dust, now thrummed with excitement as villagers gathered in a wide circle. Crystal flags waved in the breeze, and the ground had been smoothed for the test of honor. For the first time in many cycles, nearly the entire colony came together, not for a festival or a trade meeting, but to witness a battle that no one had expected. At the center stood Mira, her small frame calm yet tense. The mechanical legs hummed softly beneath her tunic, their faint blue glow hidden but ready. Beside her, Ryan adjusted a strap and gave her a reassuring nod. "Remember," Ryan said quietly, his voice steady, "you don't need to hurt anyone. Show them you can stand, move, and protect yourself. That's all the honor you need to win." Mira took a deep breath and nodded. She wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting to prove that no one born different should live in shame. Across the arena, her challenger entered with confident steps. Joran, a young but seasoned warrior, was taller and broader than most adults. He carried no weapons, for ceremonial tests were fought with skill alone. He had mocked Mira countless times when she struggled to walk, and now he grinned as though victory was certain. "I don't know what strange machine your father built," Joran said loudly, looking at Mira with disdain. "But no device can turn weakness into real strength." The crowd murmured, some nodding in agreement, others watching Mira with curiosity. The elder judge stepped forward and raised his staff. "This is a test of honor, not destruction. Show skill, control, and courage. Begin when the gong sounds." The deep metallic gong echoed through the arena. Joran moved first, rushing toward Mira with the speed of a trained fighter. His feet kicked up dust as he aimed a sweeping strike to knock her off balance. Mira's heart pounded, but her father's lessons echoed in her mind. "Trust the legs. Let them guide you." She shifted her weight slightly, and the stabilizers reacted instantly. Instead of falling, she glided to the side with graceful precision. The crowd gasped. Joran spun around quickly, his expression hardening. "Lucky step," he muttered, charging again. This time he aimed a low, sweeping kick meant to trip her. Mira bent her mechanical legs slightly and jumped, something her natural legs could never do. She soared higher than anyone expected, flipping in the air and landing behind Joran without stumbling. The crowd erupted in shocked murmurs. "Did you see that?" one villager whispered. "She moved like a trained guardian." Ryan watched from the sidelines, pride swelling in his chest, but he stayed silent, letting his daughter have her moment. Joran growled in frustration and lunged again, throwing quick, powerful strikes. Mira blocked one with her reinforced legs and sidestepped another with incredible agility. She felt the boosters hum beneath her feet, perfectly balancing her even as dust swirled around them. Finally, Joran leapt forward for a decisive blow, aiming to knock her down completely. Mira saw the move coming and remembered the old metal tank in the workshop, the sound it made when she kicked it. She didn't want to hurt him, but she needed to end the challenge. She waited until the last moment, then spun sideways. Using the full power of her right leg, she delivered a controlled kick, not to Joran's body, but to his weapon belt. The force sent it flying across the arena, landing with a heavy clang. Joran stumbled backward, his eyes wide in disbelief. The crowd went silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. Mira lowered her legs slowly, standing tall and balanced. "I don't want to hurt you," she said softly, her voice carrying across the arena. "I only want to show that I am not weak." Joran stared at her, chest heaving from the quick battle. He looked around at the crowd, then down at the dusty ground beneath his feet. Slowly he raised his hands in surrender. I was wrong," he admitted, his voice quieter than before. "You are stronger than me." A wave of astonishment and admiration rippled through the villagers. Many who had mocked Mira in the past now looked at her with respect. Some clapped, others bowed their heads slightly. The elder judge stepped forward, lifting his staff once more. "The challenge is complete," the judge declared. "Honor belongs to Mira." The crowd erupted into cheers. Mira stood frozen for a moment, overwhelmed by the sound. She had dreamed of this day, but never imagined it would feel like this. Tears welled in her eyes as she turned toward her father. Rian stepped into the arena and hugged her tightly, whispering, "You did it, little star. You stood strong and showed them your true heart." Through her tears, Mira smiled. "I didn't fall. Not even once." Ryan chuckled softly, wiping a tear from her cheek. "No, you didn't, and you never will again." As they walked out of the arena, villagers approached, bowing and offering words of praise. "Incredible," said one merchant. "Can you teach our children to move like that?" asked another. For the first time, no one whispered insults or mocked Mira. Instead, they followed her with admiration and hope. She was no longer seen as the weak child who couldn't walk straight. She had become a symbol of courage and determination. Later that evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon and the crystal forest shimmered in twilight, Ryan and Mira sat outside their home. The soft sounds of night creatures filled the air. "Father," Mira said, looking up at the glowing stars, "today felt like a dream." Ryan smiled warmly. "It's not a dream, Mira. It's the start of a new life. Not just for you, but for everyone who thought strength only came from being born perfect." Mira tilted her head. "Do you think children like me, will get legs like these?" Ryan looked at her thoughtfully. "If they want them, yes, I'll build them. No child will ever feel the shame you felt." Mira leaned against him, feeling safe and proud for the first time in her life. "Then we'll help them together." Ryan wrapped an arm around her shoulders, his voice soft but full of promise. Together. As the night deepened, a quiet but powerful truth settled over the colony. A small girl with once broken legs had just shown an entire world that true strength isn't measured by birth, but by courage, love, and determination. And this was only the beginning. The challenge had ended, but its echo spread far beyond the arena. Word traveled across the colony faster than desert winds. Mira, the girl who once stumbled and fell, had stood against a trained warrior and won without cruelty or hatred. Her story reached distant villages, carried by traders and hunters, whispered in markets and sung around campfires. For days, people visited Rian's small home. Some came out of curiosity, others in admiration, and many with quiet requests. Mothers brought children who struggled to walk or stand. Fathers with injured legs from mining accidents asked if Ryan could build for them too. At first, Ryan felt overwhelmed. His workshop had barely been enough for Mira's journey, but when he saw the hopeful faces of children like his daughter once was, he knew he couldn't refuse. "We'll help them," he told Mira one morning as they cleaned the workshop. "No one should feel the shame you carried for so long." Mira, now standing confidently in her perfected mechanical legs, smiled brightly. "Then let's start building. If you made me strong, we can make them strong too." And so, their work began. The workshop soon turned into a place of hope and invention. Broken tools were replaced with better ones, donated by villagers who had once doubted Ryan. Crates of crystal cores arrived from distant miners who offered them freely after hearing Mira's story. Even skilled engineers from other settlements traveled to learn from Ryan's designs, eager to bring change to their own homes. Every morning, the sound of humming servo motors and the laughter of children filled the air. Mira, now acting as her father's assistant, taught other children how to balance and move with their new mechanical legs. She showed them how to trust the sensors, how to take their first steps without fear. One young boy named Kiro had never walked in his life. The day Ryan fitted him with his first pair of mechanical limbs, he took 3 shaky steps before tumbling. Mira quickly helped him up and said gently, "Don't worry, I fell many times too. Tomorrow you'll walk farther." Within a week, Kiro was running across the courtyard, his laughter echoing just as Mira's once had. Watching him, Ryan's heart swelled with pride. What began as a father's desperate attempt to help his daughter had grown into something much greater, a chance to change countless lives. One evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in streaks of gold and violet, a group of elders arrived at Ryan's home. They were the same ones who had once told him to stop, to accept that his daughter would never walk. Now they bowed their heads respectfully before him. "Ryan," the eldest began, "we were wrong. We saw weakness where there was courage. You have given this colony a gift we never imagined possible." Mira stood beside her father, holding his hand tightly as the elder continued. "We wish to honor you and Mira before the entire colony. The council has prepared a ceremony. Will you accept?" Ryan glanced at Mira. She looked up at him with eyes full of wonder, unsure what to say. Ryan knelt beside her and whispered, "This is your honor, little star. If you want it, we'll stand together." Mira nodded shyly. "I want to show them that no child should feel broken like I did." The ceremony was held in the same arena where Mira had once faced Joran. This time, the atmosphere was different, filled not with doubt or mockery, but with celebration. Colorful banners waved, and people from every corner of the colony gathered to witness the moment. At the center stood Mira and Ryan. The elder judge raised his staff and spoke to the crowd. "Not long ago, we believed strength was given only, at birth. We thought weakness was something to be hidden in shadows. But today, we know the truth. Strength is built by courage, by love, and by those who refuse to give up." He turned to Mira. "This young girl has shown us all that even the smallest child can stand taller than the greatest warrior when guided by hope and determination." The crowd erupted into cheers as the judge placed a crystal medallion around Mira's neck, symbolizing honor and bravery. Ryan watched proudly as his daughter stood in front of thousands without stumbling or bowing her head in shame. Mira stepped forward, her voice small, yet clear enough for everyone to hear. "I used to think I was weak. I thought I would never walk or run like other children. But my father believed in me when no one else did. He built these legs, but more than that, he built my courage. Now I want every child like me to know. You are not broken. You are strong. And together we can walk anywhere." The arena roared with applause. Many wiped tears from their eyes. Parents lifted their children to see the brave girl who had changed their world. Even Joran, the warrior she once faced, stepped forward and bowed deeply. "Forgive my cruelty," he said. "You are the strongest among us." Mira offered him a kind smile. "Strength isn't about winning fights. It's about standing up when everyone thinks you can't." From that day on, the colony transformed. Mechanical limbs became common not just for those born with weakness, but for anyone needing aid. Farmers used lightweight exosuits to work longer hours without pain. Injured miners returned to their craft with new strength. Children who once lived in silence now played freely in the courtyards, racing each other with laughter ringing in the air. And at the heart of it all were Ryan and Mira, tirelessly building, teaching, and inspiring. But even as their work grew, Ryan never let the world forget how it began. One night, while watching Mira train young learners, he told a visiting engineer, "This started with one promise, a father's vow that his daughter would never fall again. Everything you see now, it's because of her courage." Mira overheard him and ran to his side, hugging him tightly. "No, father," she said softly. "It's because of your love." Together, they looked out at the colony glowing under twin moons. Where once there had been whispers of shame, now there was only the sound of joy and freedom. The story of the little girl who couldn't walk straight had become a legend of hope, and in every step Mira took, every leap, every powerful kick that shook the ground, one truth remained clear. Human or alien, child or adult, true strength is never given. It is built by those who dare to believe, those who refuse to stop fighting for the ones they love. And Mira, walking proudly beside her. Father knew they had only just begun.